Welcome to Season 3 of The Breakdown, the official podcast of the Breakaway Roping Journal and calfroping.com. This season, we're diving into both the breakaway and calf roping like never before, bringing you the personalities, successes, and horses that make these events great.
You can expect training tips from the top ropers, stories from the road, and industry news that goes beyond the numbers.
I'm Taylor Vollen, your calf roping host.
And I'm Lillian Kent, your breakaway host.
And this is The Breakdown. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tie Down Breakdown. It's your host, Taylor Vollen. Happy Cowboy Christmas, first and foremost. I know we're in one of the busiest times of the year right now, a time of year that everybody looks forward to, but I'm actually taking you guys off the beaten path a little with today's episode on over to Iowa. Today on The Breakdown, I'm introducing you to a father and son duo who you might already know, Bill and Cody Huber. If you don't know Bill and Cody, and honestly the entire Huber family, I feel like you're missing out. I've been lucky enough to really get to know Cody and his wife Shayla and his parents Bill and Jackie over the last year or two, I would say, through my fiance, and they are really just some of the best people I know. This episode is really exciting to me because of that reason. I feel like Bill and Cody have some really neat stories, and I am so excited to introduce y'all to them. If you aren't familiar with Bill and Cody, Bill not only has 2 NFR qualifications to his name from 1994 and 1996, he's also a legend in the PRCA circuit system. He's got 29 Great Lakes circuit titles, 22 just in the tie-down roping, and 17 consecutive from 1986 to 2002. He also won the 2002 Dodge National Circuit Finals. His records still stand today, and while it's not an easy feat, Cody's at least somewhat got his eye on chasing his dad's records, which we talk a little bit more about in this episode, of course. Cody has 4 Great Lakes circuit titles to his name and more than $250,000 in the PRCA. I'm going to admit we cover a lot in this episode. I get a little off topic, so I apologize. But I hope you guys enjoy hearing a few stories from when Bill was rodeoing, kind of the comparison in his eyes of rodeoing back then versus today. You guys are going to get to hear about Cody's career up to this point, and we also talk quite a bit about family. Like I said, I get a little off topic. I hope you guys enjoy getting to know the Huber family in this episode of The Breakdown, which is brought to you by the Buckle Breakaway Bonanza, coming this fall with a guaranteed $200,000 purse. Make sure you stick around and listen to this entire episode to hear more about the September event. I feel like it makes the most sense to start, Bill, with your career and like what it looked like for you when you were rodeoing. Kind of, I'm curious what rodeoing looked like back then. Not that it was that long ago.
Right, yeah, no doubt. Well, sure enough different than it looks today to me, but it was a lot more driving, no back-to-backs. You had to drive back to all the 2-headers, and a lot more driving between rodeos. I mean, the way it looks to me, the way it is today, and it was hard to get trades. Yeah, I don't know, just, everybody rode, instead of like now, it seems like everybody's got a couple rigs. The big guys got a couple rigs and a lot of horses, and back then everybody just rode one horse and got mounted if you had to.
Right.
So, which I didn't like doing, but lots of driving.
Yeah. How different were rodeos? Like, were there more 2-headers or 1-headers? Like, how kind of were they set up?
I would say there was more 2-headers than there is today.
Yeah.
So, but, there's a lot more 2-headers and stuff than there is today.
Mm-hmm. When did you first step on the scene? It was the 80s, right?
83 was my rookie or my permit year, and then 84 was my rookie year.
Right. And then you made the finals. 94 was the first year?
Yeah, 94 and 96.
What do you think was kind of the difference between your rookie year versus the first year you made the finals for yourself?
Oh, just way more experience, like I didn't like just, for instance, like Joe Beaver and like Mike Johnson I rodeo with, they had so many rodeos to go to, and experience-wise, when they was young compared to people in our country, they probably went to more amateur rodeos in one year than I did, and, probably rodeos for 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, but yeah, there's a lot, but it was rodeo, and
Yeah. Those 2 years that you made the finals, what did your life look like? I mean, I know, like you said, you're on the road a lot, but I mean, did Jackie go with you? Were you able to hang out in the circuit area much, or?
I went to, I would I rode with Mike Johnson and Troy Pruitt, and Jackie went with me a lot.
Yeah.
But I'd go out and rodeo at like the bigger rodeos, and then I'd come back to the circuit, and then I'd go back again. Because I had to make a living and feed the family, so I had to dang sure go somewhere where I thought I could win something.
Yeah. Cody, would you have been born when? You're 30, right? Not to age you,
Yep.
but so
Yep.
you probably wouldn't have really remembered though when he made the finals, would you? You would have been pretty little.
Yeah, I don't really remember being at the finals
Yeah.
at all. I mean, I remember, growing up at the rodeos, but I don't remember being in the Thomas and Mack by no means.
Right. I remember we talked somewhere. You remember Pocatello though, don't you?
I remember Pocatello very good.
Do you have any like neat stories from that, like from seeing your dad rodeo that kind of stuck out to you that you remember clear as day?
Oh yeah. There was we kind of, every year we went out there, we would, stop and do different things on the way out there. And there was some other people that made it that had kids my age, and we would, go and do things. The year that Dad won it, that's probably the most memory that sticks out. And the year Brent Lewis rode Grumpy without a bridle.
Right.
Those two memories. But the year that Dad won it, I wouldn't have been very old. But they were, after he roped, I was trying to get down there to get with him to ride in the victory lap, but I didn't quite make it down there in time. But I remember.
I was going to ask if you made it.
Yeah, nope, I didn't make it down there in time. When it come back to just the four guys, and Dad was second to last, and I didn't make it down there in time.
What stuck out to you the most of his career, and maybe like comparing your career versus his, maybe what it looked like?
Oh, I don't know. Just the amount of circuit titles and stuff he won was just, it's a goal that I got to try to beat, but probably almost going to be impossible.
Well, I kind of wanted to talk about that because I don't feel like a lot of people know the record that he does hold. It's 22 total, 17 back-to-back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even really have words. Like, that's just kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I don't see nowadays somebody doing. And not because the talent of ropers ain't there or anything like that. It's just, the only word I could say is dominated.
Yeah.
There was a lot of littler, circuit rodeos and stuff. Nowadays we have some good circuit rodeos that pay, $2,500 to, $4,000. And back then, some of them fair rodeos paid $500, not $1,000.
Right.
Yeah, there wasn't. That's kind of like making the NFR. The first year I made the NFR, my biggest check was $2,900. I won at Reno.
Wow. Yeah.
But I placed at 54 rodeos.
Not to ask a dumb question, would Reno have been 2 headers still? Or, well, I guess it's 3 head, but it still is.
It was a 2 and a short then, too. Yep. Yeah, because when we was in line to get our back numbers and stuff at the NFR, somebody said to me, "What was your biggest check?" And I said, the one they're giving me tonight for 40-some hundred. So, I didn't win no real big checks, but I placed a lot.
Yeah. You said you placed at 54. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
How many rodeos do you think you had to go to make the finals back then?
I went both years. I went to 90-some.
Wow.
And you could go to 125,
right.
I think, or 100.
I remember my dad would have been around the same time as you. So, and I remember that's what he said, that the limit was different. He was rough stock, but limit was different. Yeah. What do you think, kind of getting maybe into the nitty gritty, when it comes down to roping calves, what do you feel like, Bill, is the biggest difference you notice between your generation or like your period versus today?
Probably just today it seems like them guys are really fast, but I know the calves are, a little different than they was back in the 80s and the early 90s, And there's a lot of calves tied in 7 back then, too, on not very good calves, but not near as many as today,
Yeah.
I think the horsepower today is way better than it was when I was going. I mean, there was a lot of nice horses, but don't seem like as many as there is today.
Right. Cody, is there anything like you feel like have you studied? I feel like you're one that would have like studied the sport quite a bit or like watched just hours of rodeo videos.
Yeah, I mean, now there's just so many youth rodeos and ropings that you get
true.
practice behind the barrier. I mean, behind the barrier runs. Even from the time which ain't been that long ago. I mean, when I was 17, there was Barry Berkshire Open, Roy Cooper's Junior Open, Joe Beavers, and Chris only had one when I was 17. I mean, one of his ropings. Now there's, a ton of ropings that you can go to, and good ropings, not just, backyard ropings.
Right.
And I think just you get more runs, and the guys are, taking. I mean, not that the guys back then didn't take it seriously, because they did, but there's just, now you can go somewhere as a kid every weekend.
Yeah.
And rope for pretty good money.
Mm-hmm. Was that, a dumb question probably, but was that something that was really important to, maybe this is a question for Bill, but like taking you to those ropings growing up, Cody, like was that was that really important to you guys, or?
Oh yeah. The very first year I roped at Barry Berkshire's, the first one that I went to, I think I was 7 or 8. And they didn't rope. They were pretty strong. And I was on the cover of the Loops magazine back when that magazine was going on, jumping off My Little Pony. But that calf that's in that picture, that calf ripped my shirt plumb off of me.
They didn't make jerseys for them either.
But we went to, and I was 7 roping against, Tough Cooper and Cliff was in, my age group at that time, and they would have been a couple years older than me. And I guess my parents, knowing it when I was 7 years old, I wasn't going to win nothing, but they got to take me to go and see everything.
Yeah, the experience. Going back, kind of scatterbrained, which is not a surprise. Going back to Bill, your circuit titles and everything, was there ever a point where you were kind of like, holy crap, like I've won a lot of these. Like I don't know that anybody else has won this, or was it kind of an after the fact looking back on it?
Kind of after, looking back, because when I was rodeoing, like I said, we always rodeoed and tried to make money, and that's how I fed our family. So, I tried to win, and I just went with it, so. And then all around I won, I team roped a little bit to try to win the all around. I did make circuit titles a few times in the team roping, but it was all good though.
Yeah. What's it kind of mean to you that still stands, that record? And like we were saying, like, I'm curious if it'll ever be broken.
Oh, it's pretty neat. I think one of the Nastries has got, I don't know how many he's got, but he's got a lot too.
Yeah, I think he's got maybe.
He might have as many, or
he might have more, but it's not
really
in one event.
Not in one event, right?
Right.
All around, but yeah, it's a pretty neat record to have. I'd rather have 17 or 20 NFR appearances. But that wasn't in the cards. I did most all of my rodeoing on, 2 horses my whole, that I went the NFR on and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat in my book, just because I rode the same horse dang near at every rodeo, and I had a horse that I bought for $2,000 and I made the NFR on.
Right.
So,
tell me a little bit about the horses that you did have going. Like, what were they?
The first one I started on was a horse I called Cap, and bought him off an old farmer in Missouri, and that was my rookie horse. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a horse for $2,000 again off of a guy in Oklahoma, Don West, and he was just a horse we called Ugly. And he was a pretty nice little horse, and then he colicked and died.
Oh, wow.
And then Tig, the horse that I made the NFR on, I bought off a guy in Oklahoma, Bob Hazelwood. We give $2,000 for him.
Yeah.
And I rode him clear up till 97. And then I bought a pretty nice black mare off of a buddy of mine in Illinois we called Bolly. it didn't make the finals on her. That's who I won the circuit deal on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have great horses, but I always thought they was good horses, and they was horses that would let me win, and is what me and my family could afford.
Mm-hmm.
But back when I bought Tig for $2,000, $15,000 was a lot of money for a horse, and that was a really good horse,
Right.
So,
But that Tig horse, they want a pile on at Pendleton.
yeah. And
Really?
I don't think anybody that ever rode him didn't win money.
That's awesome. Yeah.
He was easy. Yeah, they won what? Mike Johnson and Herbert won a bunch on him. Troy Pruitt won a bunch on him. And we took him to Madison Square Garden. And Brent Lewis rode him and placed on him. I did. Ken Baquet and Mike Johnson all rode him. And we all won money out there.
Hey, this might be a dumb question, but would breeding have been something, okay, no offense, breeding have been something you guys even considered back then, or is that more of a today thing when it comes to rope horses?
That would be more today's thing. Breeding didn't really mean a whole lot to me. So, Oklahoma Star and Burt Breds and that back in the early 80s is what I heard a lot of, but all the horses that I won everything on is, none of them was really bred to be great rope horses.
Gotcha.
And then the run horse that me and Cody's both rode a lot in the last 10 years that I won circuit titles on, I traded a buck and bull and a pair of stirrups for him. And he was like Sonny D-Bar, which is a show horse, but now everybody's into the breeding and all that.
It's huge. Yeah.
That's Cody's department. I'm still out on that.
Cody, what would you say for the horses that you've had over the years? What have been kind of the top ones?
Oh, I've had a couple. I started on I had my pony that I grew up roping on. I wish I had him still today because I would train to ride him at certain rodeos.
Really?
Yep. They actually placed on him at pro rodeos. He was a 13-1 pony. Roy Cooper tried buying him. We have a picture of him in Roy Cooper's office at home, but when we were little and stayed at his house. But that was the start of it. And then I rode Dad's black mare, Dolly. And then we had a big yellow horse we called Yeller. I rode in high school some. And then my sophomore year, I started riding the roan horse. And he was kind of the first rodeo horse that Dad had started, and we seasoned him. Mm-hmm. And that's what I started my PRCA career on. And then probably what turned most of my career around probably was the gray horse that I bought from Joe Beaver.
Yeah.
We'd been looking for one, and I'd talked to him about a couple, and we hadn't got nothing worked out. And he called me one day and he said, "Hey, you need to come try this gray horse." And I said, "Well, I don't think I can make it down there till, another week or so." And he said, "No, I got somebody coming. You need to come try him tomorrow."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, I can't make tomorrow work, but what about the next day?" And I flew down there and rode him and got along with him. And that's what I would say kind of turned Roni was a really good horse, but he just had gotten older and wasn't keeping up with, he was okay to circuit rodeo on, but to go out and rodeo. And then I've got a bay horse that we'll back up, I guess. I had a sorrel mare my rookie year that I won a pile on right away that a really good friend of ours just let me borrow. That guy actually passed away this morning.
Oh, man.
He let me borrow her. I had her, and she tore her suspensory, and I didn't get to ride her much after that. But I think she would have been a really, really good horse.
Yeah.
And then now I just got some young ones that I've been riding, breaking them out a little bit.
Right.
And honestly, with the last few years, I've had horse issues. Luke Madsen's bay mare has been outstanding for me to be able to jump on whenever I don't have something to ride.
Yeah, that's nice of you. mention Luke. I didn't really want to ask because I didn't know, but horse issues. Like, I do kind of forget that that's kind of been a unfortunate thing that you've experienced.
Yeah, I've had just in 2019 when things were going, really good. And I thought I might have an outside chance at making the finals that year. I think it was 19, maybe it was 18. But at San Juan, my grade got hurt. And then I had to come home because that was the only thing I had with me that year. So I come home, kind of regrouped, and then I had a really good winter of the year. COVID hit, and they shut all the rodeos down.
Yeah.
And kind of was a buzzkill because Houston, I'd made the semifinals at Houston out of my set and had won, I think, 4th at San Antonio that year. And had been placing pretty good at some other rodeos, so I had quite a bit won, so that was a real buzzkill.
Yeah. Do you feel like after watching your dad's career and everything, like, did that put more pressure on you from yourself, you feel like, because of his career? Like, did you feel more pressure to go out and do the same things he did, or not really?
Oh, yeah. Like in high school, it just feels like everybody's staring at you.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day, when you at any rodeo that any of the the announcers are the same announcers that when Dad was going would say they'll say my name, but then it comes back to son of Bill Huber. So which it's good. I mean, I don't mind. In high school and stuff, I would say it made me more nervous and all that, but now it is what it is.
Yeah. Was it ever a, like, man, I want to be Cody Huber, Cody Huber himself? Like, no offense, Bill. Don't take offense to that. Like,
I think at a younger age, I kind of did.
Yeah.
But then, as you get older and you get more mature, you're just more, you realize it's not a bad thing. It's just, that's just what it is. And then you kind of, as you get older, you realize that that's, something to be proud of, not,
right, yeah.
Shouldn't be, down about it.
This episode is presented by the Buckle Breakaway Bonanza. The Pink, Ruby, and Riata Buckles will combine their breakaway roping efforts into one mega event for the progeny of stallions across all 3 programs, doubling the number of available horses and doubling the payout for the fall of 2024. This collaboration will guarantee a $200,000 purse with a $50,000 guarantee for 5 and under breakaway horses. These changes will make this contest one of the largest in the world, if not the largest breakaway purse offered this season. The Buckle Breakaway Bonanza is coming this fall, September 29th, 2024. Well, and like I've talked with some of the like rookies in the team roping world this year, and like kids whose dads have made the finals a ton, like the Tryon boy, Clay's boy, he's rodeoing. And we've just talked about how, like, yeah, you want to make a name for yourself, but it's also like the wealth of knowledge you kind of have at your disposal too.
Yeah, like, I mean, just like entering the rodeos, I mean, just from listening to Dad in the truck, I had a general idea when I turned 18, how to enter all the rodeos without even, not that I didn't ask him for help or he didn't help me enter, but I mean, I basically, it's not necessarily like rodeoing, like going and rodeoing. I asked other people's opinion, but as far as circuit rodeos, by the time I was 18, I knew how I needed to be up each weekend just from being, at the rodeos. Because I would say up until I turned about 16, I was at every circuit. I was with Dad and Mom, and we were trying to get to amateurs, but Dad was still, at that time, making a living with the rope.
Right. That's another thing. I forget that it really hasn't been that long since. It was still pretty recent.
He made the circuit finals in 14.
I did not.
15.
Yeah, hey, give him that other year.
Yep, 2015. He didn't. I don't think he made it in 14, but in 15. But in 2011 is the last year he won it, and he won it on that roan horse.
I forget that. I guess it's because it really, 2014 feels like it should have been so long ago, but it hasn't.
Yeah, like a long time to me.
Yeah. Not to make you feel old, Bill.
That's all right.
Do you feel like, okay, from your perspective, Bill, of watching Cody, like, was there ever a time when he went out and you were just kind of like, yeah, he's got a good head on him, like, he knows what he's doing, or were you kind of like, man, yep, just another 18-year-old hitting the road, or...
No, I never did think that about him, because I always thought, he was pretty smart. He really didn't do a lot of stupid stuff. And
yeah.
I didn't worry about him, I guess, going off by himself and doing dumb things outside the arena. Inside the arena, I never did worry about him, but, you worry about what kids do outside the arena.
Yeah.
I sure never did ever worry about that, or, about having to worry about somebody calling me and telling me you're doing something stupid,
Yeah. What is kind of, and this is maybe a question for the both of you, but, like, what's the dynamic between the two of you when it comes to roping? Like, what do practices look like? Or, Cody, maybe, like, what was it like in the practice pen as a kid with your dad?
Now it's like pulling teeth to get him to come practice.
Really? Why?
We've got, with the cows and Dad taking care of the cemetery, I've got about the best help you can find. My cousin Meredith, she's there every day, takes care of horses, does everything, But as far as growing up, I mean, that's all it was practice. I mean, at that time, growing up, Dad was still rodeoing. So, I mean,
that's
practicing.
True.
And we practiced a lot more, when I was in high school and stuff than, we do now. But in high school and stuff, I had 2 or 3 practice horses, or younger horses or older horses that we didn't ride at the rodeo no more. And then I had a couple of junk ones that all we did was practice on. And at that time, Dad still kind of did some calf contracts, so we were always had some calves around and stuff, and we didn't go a day without practice, and I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was plenty of fights. There's plenty of arguments.
I feel like that's normal. It's natural.
I don't think it would be normal if you didn't argue a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dads know best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know how that is.
Yeah.
So, Cody, like, there was never a time, like, you've known since you were a kid that this is what you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times I've thought, why do I do this? But yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know what I would have ever done. I didn't mind. I played some sports in high school and stuff, but it wasn't nothing like roping.
Right.
I think I won a little bit and realized that if I get good at this, I can maybe, make a living doing it, or at least make enough to get by. And I don't want to answer to somebody working, so I'm gonna try my best to not have to do that.
Right. What are some of your, and this might honestly be the hardest question, and it seems like the most simple one, but what are some of the moments of your career that you're the most proud of this far?
Probably, I mean, in 2015, the first year that I won I guess the only year I won the average at the circuit finals, but Dad was there and was roping. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Josh Fauch was there. He roped with us and was out there with us. And then it was just that there probably stands out, the most. And then I won Chris Neal's All-Star roping, and that was pretty special to me as well. Mm-hmm. And just, one of my goals is every year, even if I go in rodeo, is just make sure I make the circuit finals.
Right.
Louisville's been a home away from home for my family for Dad and since 83. And since 83. The second week in November, we're going on vacation to Louisville. And so that's just a goal. Even if I go and, the years I did go in rodeo, I dang sure made sure that I was going to get back and get my circuit rodeos in to make the circuit finals.
How many year-end titles do you have so far?
4 year-end titles.
4. Gotcha.
Yep. 2017, 19, 22, and 23.
Got it.
And then average in 2015.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you have a career that already people really respect, and I don't just mean on the circuit level, obviously. Do you have, like, is the end goal still to make the finals? I mean, I know it's different now because you've got Shayla and the boys, but, I mean, is that still...
Yeah. I mean, it is. I've come to, with what it costs to go, and right now I don't have the horses to go.
Yeah.
And that's just, it sucks, and a couple years ago, last year, I still kind of went a little bit and realized this is not going to work. And so hopefully one day here in the near future, before I get too old, that changes. But as of right now, I'm just going to kind of ease around here and stay close, and I'll break off a little bit and go here and there. But hopefully in the next 2 years, I can try to, make a run for it one more time.
Yeah. Speaking of the boys, kind of getting off topic, but it's fresh in my brain. Is Lacey still pretty, like, obsessed with cows and roping? Because last year, I remember at the NFR Open, like, that was all he wanted to do was watch roping videos.
Lacey is just obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I mean, shore, rope, run. I mean, he crawls in the chute and opens it himself and runs and acts like somebody roped him, and, yeah, he's obsessed with it.
And Grandma.
And my mom and him are always in the arena. He's riding. He knows what feed each horse.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I imagine, I don't know what I was like it too, but I can imagine that.
Well, okay.
Is just like it.
Yeah.
That was my next question. Bill, was he anything like was Cody like that as a kid?
Oh yeah, that's what Jackie calls Lacey little Cody.
How funny.
Yeah, Cody used to tie her. I mean, he tied our cat. So, I mean, yeah, it was all about roping all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Eaten up by it, yeah.
Yeah, Justin, not so much. Cody, yeah.
Right.
And Leroy, he don't swing his rope too bad. It don't seem like yet it's something that he wants to do. He rides a little bit, but it's got to be on when he wants to.
Right. I feel that kind of. I mean, I know, like, I feel like it's weird to talk about a 2-year-old that way, but, like, does that kind of make you excited as a dad, like, to think, like, you're going to always have that in common, like, if Lacey is truly that obsessed with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it does. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He's so little that he wants to do things that he's not big enough to do yet. And so it's hard, but yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm excited, and hopefully maybe Leroy will, decide that he wants to one of these days.
Mm-hmm. Really off topic though, but we've talked about Jackie a little bit. I mean, like, what kind of support was Jackie over the years? Because I just think she's great. I feel like she deserves some credit here too.
I'm going to tell you, you ain't going to get much better rodeo mom, wife than she was.
Yeah.
I mean, we got married, and I mean, she went on rodeoed with me until we had Justin, and she rodeoed up till June with me, and he was born in July, and then after he was gone, she went with me again, and I mean, she knew more. She did win high school as calf open and barrel racing, and she made the circuit-finals in barrel racing.
Right.
But she knows more about calf roping than most people know.
Yeah.
I mean, she can tell you what's going on and not, but she never did doubt me much. I mean, there was times we never had money at all, but she never said we wasn't going. She knew that was the way it was, and she was great.
Yeah.
She never did come unglued or nothing about rodeoing. She married a cowboy, and that's what she says now. I thought I married a cowboy, not a farmer.
Oh, man.
But, oh, yeah, she still tells me that. I said, well, if I was 50 and 40 again, it'd be all right. She said, I know, but she still, she always brings that back to me.
Yeah. I love that. She makes me laugh.
Yeah, but no, she was the best. I mean, she had coffee made every morning at every rodeo for everybody to drink, and there wasn't much old Jack couldn't handle.
Right. So. Shayla seems pretty hold the fort down too, Cody.
Yeah, she does. She does a good job. She's been so busy with different work things the last couple of years that she hasn't got to go. But this year she went last weekend. She's going to go with me quite a bit this summer.
That'll be good.
Mom would dang sure tell you if you did something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. She hates breaking the barrier and hates when you put a rat in a hooey on them.
Why does she hate that? Breaking the barrier is understandable, but...
she never... The year I won Poke and Tail, I put a rat in the hooey on, and that wasn't good. And I'll never forget, one year at Denver, I told her I had a good one. And she says, whatever you do, don't put a rat in the hooey on. And I called her. She said, what'd you do? I said, I did what you told me not to win the go-around. And he got it. That wasn't good.
Yeah. I feel like you've probably got some pretty neat stories from the road, but I feel like that would take us another hour to talk about the cool stories.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to hear a couple rodeo stories from back in the day, I can tell you two quick ones.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so one, me and Jackie, it was in 88 when she was pregnant with Justin. We had a 86 Chevy truck, a topper, and a one-horse trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And we was at San Antonio. I won pretty good at San Antonio. And we left San Antonio and drove to Kissimmee, Florida. We had one day, and we rode there, and then Brighton, Florida. Left there, drove back to Houston. I rode to Houston in the slack. We left there in the afternoon and drove all night long to Tucson. And got there at like 7 o'clock, and the slack started at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else that done that flew, and we drove it all.
Wow.
And she was pregnant, and she got a speeding ticket. I said, oh, you can drive. They'll let you off because you're pregnant. Well, they didn't.
Oh, no.
And so that was one trip we made. And that stuff, that people don't do today. I mean, just the way the rodeos were set up,
Yeah.
I mean, they still do, but not to the back then. We done a lot of driving like that,
Yeah.
And then Mike Johnson, and this was this story here had been told everywhere, but me and him was at Pendleton, and we drove to Albuquerque, and it's like 1,210 miles from gate to gate. And if everybody knows Mike, how he drives ain't the greatest, but anyways, I told him we got there. I said, Mike, I'm not. We had to leave Albuquerque and drive straight back to Pendleton. I said, I got 2 kids at home, and I'm not doing that. I said, we'll turn out, we'll fly, whatever. I always said, little buddy, he said, you got to run that calf. He said, I don't have to, but you do. Because I was trying to make the finals.
Yeah.
And he said, will you fly? And I said, I am. I said, I'm not driving it.
Mm-hmm.
So I flew back. He said, little buddy, he said, you just have Old Bay ready when I get there. So, rodeo starts, calf opens first up there, and he pulls in 15 minutes before the calf open, drove her straight through.
Wow.
And won the go around on the horse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I don't know that anybody else has done that or would do that again.
Yeah.
But what he done. But Mike Johnson thought you could go anywhere in the world in 24 hours. It didn't matter. Yeah. So rodeoing with Mike was quite the deal. He was with me when Justin was born. He was with me when I was with him when Cody was born, and he was with me when I was getting married.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
So, and then Troy Pruitt, I rodeo with him too, but I rode a lot with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So, and kind of the two opposite guys in the world too.
Really? Maybe it's a story Roy told, or maybe it was Jackie last year in Colorado Springs was saying that there was somewhere you guys went where it was like 20-minute shifts.
Oh, you mean me and Jackie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We used to do, that was the one going from that deal I was just telling you about.
That was the one?
15 minutes at a time.
That is crazy.
She's pretty tough.
If you guys don't mind, tell me about your Grandpa Kenny.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that don't, that rodeo that don't probably know Grandpa, but, around here, if you're a calf roper, you knew who Kenny was.
Mm-hmm.
He just, would do anything for anybody when it come to roping.
Yeah.
got Dad started, done everything. I mean, anything you needed. I mean, at 80 or 82 years old, would still come out there and, try to run the chute, and not in good health. But he was going to be up there and helping or watching or, doing whatever. And just the amount of, he's had the saddle shop. He started a bunch of, they had bucking ponies trying to get, younger kids when Grandpa was kind of stock contracting with the roping calves. Him and another guy bought a bunch of mini ponies to try to get more, rough stock riders and stuff in the events, and just, helped with the high school rodeo when there used to be a high school rodeo in Albia, and supplied calves all over, the Midwest when he, was young, when Dad was younger and stuff. And you were not going to, I mean, if you were practicing, he was probably going to be up there.
Really?
And not as much when he was, the last few years he was alive, but I mean, up until then, he was up there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the influence that he had on, I mean, everybody around here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in this world that you can, you might say, oh, that guy wasn't liked by, somebody so-and-so or whatever, but I don't know anybody that would say that they didn't like Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
Which was really, really cool. And then basically handing, the reins of the saddle shop to me was, pretty cool too.
Yeah. When would that have been?
I started doing the leather stuff probably 7 to 8. I'd always kind of went out there and piddled around, but probably, 7 or 8 years ago, I just needed to do something to make a little extra money, and I started just kind of making rough out buck stitch belts.
Yeah.
And Grandpa hated rough out. And he's like, but do something else. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Just punch some holes in it and buck stitch it.
Yeah.
And but then now, we've got it going. We don't build saddles or, nothing like that yet, but we've got it going. When I'm home, I'm pretty much out there now.
Yeah. Did he, at one time you guys built saddles though, right? Or did I make that up?
Yeah, no, he built saddles and sold saddles. And the saddle shop used to be open, 5-6 days a week when he first opened it, and started in a real little building, and now it's in a 40 by 50 building. So it was big. I mean, back in the day, it was a really big, deal. And then now it's just, it was kind of a storage shed for a little while when Grandpa's health kind of started to go downhill.
Gotcha.
And then, I don't know, I think I needed some money, and was talking to Grandpa about it one day, and he said, well, there's all kinds of leather up there. Just go do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where that started.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Bill, what kind of influence did he have on you when it came to roping?
Oh, he had a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he roped when he was younger, and then he had a bad back, so he quit. And then he loved to rope calves, and he loved me to rope. My sister roped. My brother roped a little bit, but we never did have a lot of money, and my first had a pony I roped on, and then he bought me a $750 horse that I headed and made the high school finals on heading and calf roping, and just, he done what he could do and bought me calves and run the sheep every day.
Yeah.
So, we roped. We didn't, back then, we really didn't, there wasn't nobody around that really knowed a whole lot. Not that they didn't know nothing, just everybody roped, but it wasn't like it is today. Now there's all the tools, all the dummies, and all the people you can go to schools, and he took me to Roy Cooper's roping school, but our way of learning was rope. And then the guy that Cody talked about, his name was Bobby Burton, that I started amateuring with, that passed away today, but he took me to all the amateur rodeos. Me and him put on our first roping school together. And Dad, he was all about roping. We built that arena. We was trying to buy a couple farms, and at the time we ended up not having the money to buy the farm, so we said, let's build the indoor arena. So That's when we built the H&H Dream Arena, and that was in '93, the year Cody was born. But
yeah.
That, and then my mom was, you know, she liked the rodeo too. She never did ride, but she was big on going, and her biggest, I've told people this story, and I know people probably don't believe this, but I mean, it's a true story. She told me if she ever caught me smoking, drinking, or chewing, that was the end of the roping.
Oh.
And I will guarantee you, I never doubted her one time, because she would put the fear of God in you about stuff. And she, that's the way Mom was, but she was a great supporter. I mean, she said this stuff costs too much money to do if you're going to do all that other stuff. So yeah, but both of them, they're the reason we are what we are.
Yeah. Cody, where do you go next? I guess Manawa and all those?
Yeah, Manawa and Galena this weekend, and then we leave Sunday to head to Colorado Springs to the NFR Open.
Perfect.
I rode Tuesday, Wednesday out there.
Gotcha.
And then fly back to Hamel, Spooner, and Isani. And then hopefully I have to turn my second one out at Hamel. Come back, fly back to Colorado Springs, and then Cheyenne on the 15th.
Make sure you go and learn more about the Buckle Breakaway Bonanza. Like I said, this is a $200,000 guaranteed purse with a $50,000 guarantee for 500 breakaway horses. This is going to be one of the biggest breakaway opens, and you're going to want to be a part of it.